then that was what they call as existence. But in last 100 years, the science started to look inside the atom, that there is something known as vacuum. Atom onwards, it's 90 billion light years across. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahm. I know the essence, the spiritual science of life and consciousness in a way where you can live happily thereafter.
At least in India, it is a very spiritual practice where we have our own gods. Every city, every village has its own god, but science is not like that. Science has as I've already said, has an empirical data, and once we understand the empirical data, everything is known to us. So why would I choose spirituality over science?
They say, no. They are not gods. They are inspiration. They are impulses of creativity.
Sir, so you were talking about spiritual science, but as for my knowledge, I see spirituality and science as two different entities. Science is totally
Yeah,
based upon the empirical data that we collect and we find a pattern within it. And spirituality is all
yeah.
about experience. So how are you intermixing these two terms, and how is it even related to the original spirituality and consciousness?
Very complex question, but a very, very interesting question. I think if you had asked this question about 100 years back, I would not have been able to answer it. But now we can, because science and spirituality are both product of the curiosity of the mind. They all wanted to look into the why, how, and where of existence. So, till 100 years back, science had always looked at the existence as outside world, populated by five senses of perception. They also had an experience, which is all right. It was experience, but that experience was limited to the field outside. That is whatever I am seeing. And if even at that time the existence, or rather the universe, was 90 billion light years across, then that was what they call as existence, right? However, after 1900, when they started to look inside the atom, now see, when they started to look inside of the atom, they came across an amazing world of particles. But in last 100 years, the science started to look inside the atom. And when they started to look inside the atom, what did they find? That here is the nucleus of neutron, protons, then electrons moving around it. And when we dissect the neutrons and protons, they come up quarks, down quarks, and then various interacting fields like photons and gluons. Then they went right up to the string particles, or depending upon if you are looking at quantum field theories, then we start to say virtual particles. Then suddenly they realized that there is something known as vacuum, right? Now, the definition of universe changed. Atom onwards, it's 90 billion light years across. But when they started to look inside the atom, they found that the minuteness is even bigger, even more complex than what the outside world was. For example, the last frontier of matter is 10 to the power minus 34 meters, right? And that is the range of existence. Now, see what you say. Spirituality said Sat Chit Anand. Sat is existence. Chit is consciousness. Anand is the quality. That means this is how you have experience. The Sat Chit Anand started from the vacuum state, went to the finest relative particle, 10 to the power minus 34, which is Planck's constant, went up to atoms and then further up. And therefore, their universe was always inside and outside. The spirituality, why of spirituality, where and how, lied in consciousness. The consciousness or the inner field was a field of life and consciousness. Very, very important. Life and consciousness. In science, when we start to look at the universe or whenever, whatever we want to do, we are only talking in terms of electrons, protons, neutrons, and the external world. But for thousands of years, the spirituality was looking at the inner field. Because they say from inner field, from me, from Brahma, the essence of creation. The essence of creation, we are operating the power to create. देखो, very, very important. The power to create lies within. Now you are saying, what is science to do with it? Science and spirituality, they are different things. Yes, they are coming through empirical formulas. However, the experience is through spirituality. In this, now science suddenly realizes that here is fields, electron field, upward field, downward field, and there is something known as Higgs field. Interaction of those fields start to create particles, electrons, protons, neutrons. Now see the similarity between spirituality and science. Science is giving the proof. Oh, the spirituality is right. The control lies within. This is what these guys were saying. So I suddenly jumped to life. Everything and anything. Who's asking the question? Who am I? What is life? Where is existence? What is consciousness? There's somebody who's asking. The person who's asking is the drashta, the one who's seeing. And science somehow conveniently puts this question under the carpet and does not bother about it. So the drishta problem is separate, left in the basket of spirituality and the other questions related to it. The life as science understands is the life of the body. However, now as the science has come to this level, it is starting to talk in terms of consciousness. 10 to the power minus 34 is the last frontier of matter. These virtual particles are energy particles. Where did this energy come from? So your answer is this energy comes from the vacuum. Okay, then what is this energy? If the question is, what is this energy? The answer is, we don't know. What came before the Big Bang? We don't know. What is inside the black hole? I don't know. That's where the spirituality enters and says, I know. मैं ब्रह्म हूँ, aham brahmasmi, I am Brahm. I know the essence. And so I've started this channel, Spiritual Science. And in this spiritual science, what we are doing, we are taking cues from the science. I will not be able to teach you quantum physics or string theory or things like that. However, with the knowledge of this aspect of science, we suddenly realize all these fields that are being talked about by the quantum physics are within us. Where? In our field of life and consciousness. So, if you are with me and if you keep talking to me, in the sense you come back to my videos, you'll find we are going to talk about some amazing ideas. And the first amazing idea would be the spiritual science of life and consciousness, which is within. Now you understand, hey, when we say within, inner world, outer world, then we start to understand, yes, there is amazing body structure, which is a spiritual body. And we will be also talking about the spiritual body, the body where the control lies, where you can control your mind, where you can be in a way where you can live happily thereafter. I hope you have liked my answer. If there is any question, you are
Yeah.
welcome.
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
have a follow-up question, which is that spirituality, how much ever we discuss it, is a very personal process. It's a very personal journey. That is the reason we have the concepts of Ishtadaivata and all that. It, at least in India, it is a very spiritual practice where we have our own gods. Every city, every village has its own god. But science is not like that. Science has a, as I've already said, has an empirical data, and once we understand the empirical data, everything is known to us. But spirituality, I cannot explain it to anybody. It has to be an experience. So why would I choose spirituality over science?
You are not choosing. You are a spiritual being. What I'm now wanting to, you are a spiritual being having a physical experience. Whether you choose or not choose, you are spiritual. Why? Because now through science, we will start to talk in terms of this physical body, which is metaphysical in nature. When you took that question, it's a personal experience. Perfectly fine. It's a personal experience. This personal experience is what makes you. This is the personal experience in which you are caught. Who? You. And what are you caught in? You are caught in your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. You are in a state where you are suffering. You have traumas and tragedy. You have stories to tell. You are passing through huge emotions which are disrupting your life and consciousness. Therefore, when you say experience, yeah, it's a personal experience. Why? Because you want to say, hey, my God is this, my God is that. But what is that God? What is that Ishtadev that you call? This Ishtadev is your guide. Guide to what? Guide to the
Yeah.
ultimate.
Yeah.
And what is that ultimate? Ultimate is Brahma. So we reach the state of Brahma through this. So Indian spirituality, maybe your next question might come, 333 million God? Why? They say, no, no, no. They are not gods. They are inspiration. They are impulses of creativity with which you vibrate, with which you are synchronized. And therefore, when you choose spirituality, then you also choose a physical methodology. All these 33 million gods are physical in nature. But Brahma, the vacuum state, is a state of nothingness. That is Sat Chit Anand, existence, consciousness, and bliss. So I'm not a jnani, I'm not a Baba, I'm not a yogi, but yes, I can teach. And that's what my USP is. Uh, Thank you very much, Bhargav, for joining me. But can I ask you, what do you do?
I'm pursuing my startup, sir. I'm researching, I'm into research and I'm writing some research papers also based on
Ah,
artificial intelligence and other mechanical aspects like on-site machining. Yes, sir.
ah, sure. That's wonderful. And I really enjoyed talking to you. Let's meet once again. Thank you very
Sure.
much.